Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon session of Mendeley. We're going to have three speakers. In the order that they are going to present, we are doing this virtually through link. We've got two gentlemen, Dilip Sharma from Amsterdam. He is MDLY Marketing Development Director. We have Giovanna Bartens. He is also from Amsterdam, Marketing Development Manager. And then we've got Joe Schell, who is based in London, and he's from Mendeley Data Manager. And they're going to give us more about Mendeley and their products, as well as Mendeley Data, which is something new from them. They will explain how it works, provide a short demonstration, and how they continue to support the research community. Dilip, over to you.
Great, thank you, Paulette. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Just to give a name to a face, this is us from Amsterdam and London. So again, my name is Dilip Sharma, Market Development Director for Mendeley. And we have Giovanna and Joe Schell. So to kick off and to give you some context of where we are today and how we see the world of research. So we see that the world of research is ever-changing. Where you used to have a corporate world and an academic world, these worlds are merging together. Is moving towards the corporate world. The way funding gets allocated is changing. Governments are placing bigger bets in larger labs. So when you have a smaller lab, it's tougher to get money. For example, the EU Brain Mapping Initiative was awarded 1 billion euros, which gets allocated to the top 5 labs. There is also increased pressure from society for transparency, showing impact of the investment and how money is being spent and what are the benefits for society. And competition is ever increasing. These changes have enormous impact on both institutions and researchers like yourself. So with the interest of the Librarian Research Week at Stellenbosch, we now have to focus our attention on you, the researcher. The changes described are influencing the researcher needs. And here you can see we have identified some of your needs. Staying up to date, evaluating your impact, showcasing your work, collaboration, publishing most effectively, and so on. So for example, staying up to date has always been an important part of the researcher. With today's ever-growing increase in information from articles, blogs, or research data, researchers need to help to filter out the bad stuff and help to ensure you're not missing the most important information. Or showcasing your work. One article in Nature or Cell journals was enough for your peers to understand your reputation. Now, more dimensions are needed to show your impact within your institutional research community, but also beyond, to adjacent communities and to show societal impact. With all of this, a higher quality research dialogue will need to evolve through the increasing support of technology. We envision that researchers will interact, assess, access, consume, and publish scientific information in an ecosystem of online research communities. And this is what we are demonstrating today with Mendeley. At Mendeley, we are focusing on developing an ecosystem that addresses the changes within the world of research. As described earlier, both institutions and researchers are playing a vital role in this ecosystem. On a researcher level, Mendeley supports researchers' needs and enables them to effectively manage their research projects, stay up to date, collaborate, showcase their work, and evaluate their impact. This is carried out through content discovery functionalities, a powerful reference management tool, Mendeley Data, a research data repository service, which we'll hear about later, and social features such as Mendeley Feed, Suggest, and Profiles. And given the amount of data held in Mendeley and how researchers collaborate and how research output is shared and consumed, Mendeley represents a goldmine for institutions and supports them in many critical aspects, such as demonstrating research excellence, in front of funding bodies, identifying external expertise and potential of collaboration, assessing productivity, and supporting the research function. This is demonstrated through multiple tools such as Mendeley Institutional Insights, Mendeley Institutional Edition, Mendeley Data, institutional groups, and premium upgrades for researchers like yourself belonging to an institution. So just to give you a glance of Mendeley today, and to highlight specifically what Mendeley is currently bringing, we currently have over 5.6 million users together and over 600,000 public groups. This gives the ability to easily identify others with similar research interests, the ability to join and create groups, discuss and find document references on topics, and the ability to create private groups, allowing collaboration and sharing of full-text documents. We have enabled the ability to create researcher profiles and upload your own publications to the catalog and understand statistics and readership of those publications. And finally, ensured greater productivity with our reference manager. Through citation styles and bibliographies, reading and annotating papers on multiple devices, and finding relevant papers through Mendeley Suggest. So now I'll hand it over to Giovanna to give a glance at Mendeley in your institutions.
Hello everyone. Well, basically your research community has much appreciation for Mendeley dating back from 2009. Now more than 28,000 researchers are using Mendeley in South Africa and have created almost 4,000 public groups to better collaborate and share the research. So, for example, the public group, Depth, Const, ENT, Entomology publications, created by Joe Terbalanche, who is an assistant professor of the Department of Conservation, Ecology, and Entomology from your institution, has 18 members and 180 papers. The group functionality on Mendeley has been used for sharing research information and for setting up teaching courses. This collaboration function also allows your research community to connect with your peers, with your collaborators, promote research and discovery, encourage openness, and inspire creativity across geographies and subject disciplines. Well, now I will hand the presentation over to Joe Shell, who will present around Mendeley data.
Hi there. If someone could pass over the presenter role, that'd be great. So, hi there, my name's Joe Shell. I'm part of the product team at Elsevier and Mendeley that got Mendeley data out the door late last year, and we've got a few interesting things coming up this year, like integration with ELNs and greater integration into the Mendeley environment as a whole. But today I'm just going to focus on what we have, which is at data.mendeley.com. Can people already see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
Yes,
Brilliant.
thank you.
So Mendeley Data is a free online research data repository where you can upload your research data so it is citable, shareable, and secure to fill your funder mandated needs. So if you are required as part of your funder mandate, or if your postdoc or your PI is requiring that you have to upload your research data somewhere, this is a place that you can come and do it for free. You can upload datasets big and small. That means that you can have inside any dataset an unlimited number of files, and each file can be up to 10 gigabytes in size. At the moment, we're putting a generic restriction of 10 gigabytes per dataset, but in the future we could see that raise. For each dataset that you make public or publish, you'll get a DOI. And our DOI is a version which is excellent for longitudinal studies. Or if you just want to update the quality of your data so that your data set is more reproducible, reusable, and has a greater possibility of being cited, upping your impact factor. Before you choose to make your data public, you can actually share your progress privately with your colleagues and funding bodies, and you will have a reserved DOI to share with those individuals. Mendeley data follows mobile-first and progressive enhancement methodologies. What does this mean? That means that no matter what device you are on in the world, you will be able to view and or upload your research data from any device. We think this is important. Another great feature of storing your data with Mendeley data and making it publicly viewable and citable is that it will also become secure for the long term. What does that mean? That means that when you mint with us, you will get your DOI. That will always be persistently resolvable. That persistently resolvable URI, that DOI, will also be pointing to DUNS. DUNS is the data archiving and networking services, so that if Elsevier or Mendeley were to disappear in, say, the next 10, 15 years, you would always have your research data online and archived and resolvable. So it's there for the scientific record. So now I'm going to move on to making a new data set just to show you how easy it is. I'm going to make this very, very generic and not be domain specific, just so you can get a taste that this is a generic data repository. So let's give it a title, Some Data. And actually up here you can already see that as you go along, we're doing an AJAX call to make sure that as your progress is happening, we're saving it, so there's no chance of you actually losing any of your research data as you're typing it in, or any of your progress. Here we can add another contributor, so let's add Josh.Emerson at Mendeley.com. Let's also fill that name because Josh is already a Mendeley user. Let's say that Josh went to Oxford. Here we have a nice controlled vocabulary. And let's say that Josh made great coffee. That was his contribution. Let's add that contributor, but Josh is also the kind of guy that likes to have his name at the front of the list. I'm going to upload something that's got a slightly chunky file size, so you can see it uploading. I'm going to upload my internal document for one of my presentations. That's a few megabytes in size. Actually, no, that's only half a megabyte, but you could see how it was uploading, and also you can see the icon here. It does show you what kind of file type you have with these handy icons. You can add more institutions that are not explicitly associated with the contributors if you choose to. You can add different categories to this data. So let's say graphing. This is based on the Omniscience ontology and allows other researchers to find your data easily. The description of this data is where you would describe what the data is about. And something that we're pretty proud of and is actually forward-thinking in showing our integration with lab notebooks is that we also enable the space to say, this is how we got the data, this is how you reproduce getting this data. This is handy when we're talking about not just dealing with, say, HiveBench, one of our latest partners that we're working with in the electronic lab notebook space, but when we're working with, say, people like Findings or RSpace or any of these other collaborators, they can actually directly upload the steps to reproduce the methods into this section here. In related links, you'll notice that it's not just a link, but you're also defining the predicate of that link. So you're saying that bbc.com is perhaps a related link, is cited by the article. Or you could go ahead and point to GitHub and say is compiled by or is source of software, which is interesting if you think about it, because all of a sudden you're talking about saying this is how we carried this experiment out, this is the description of the data, this is the data, and by the way, this is the software that we run against this to get this data. At the bottom of the page, you can go ahead and choose to publish. So I have to pick a license. So here I have CC0 or CC BY 4.0, and the rest of these at the moment, except for the bottom one, are software licenses. We're going to be adding more. Let's make the CC0. So I'm choosing to publish this, but guess what? Because you're minting a DOI, and also you're going to be making this data there for the long term, you cannot delete or change this data once you make it live, but you can create a different version, and also this will be made accessible to the public. I'm not going to publish this because we like our DOIs to be resolvable to good quality data. Other ways of doing this is supposing that you have to share your data, but you don't really want to have anyone else scoop it, but you have to do this for your funding mandate. You can set an embargo of 6 months, a year, or another date where you do get your reserved DOI, and you can then pass it on to your funding body and say, hey, I've got the research data online, it's secure, it's archived, it's there, this is its persistent DOI. I've done what I have to do, but it will be coming online in 2 years from now for other people to share. And here's a version of that. So this is something that somebody uploaded on the 7th of June. Maps of chemical segregation, recovery, recrystallization, and phase transformation in a trip-assisted dual-phase steel. Geez, that's unfortunate. I can't get to this data for another 10 months. This guy wants to make sure that he's using his data as much as he can beforehand. I can download a calendar event to remind me on the date that goes out live. And here you can see this is version 1. I'm now going to move on to another data set, and here you can see that this is version 2, and I think you'll find this interesting for a couple of reasons later. You can see this has been viewed 425 times and downloaded 82 times. So here's the description of the data. You can see that you can put hot links in there and all these other sorts of things if you choose to. Here's the actual files themselves. Here's the steps to reproduce. And here's those related links that I was showing you earlier. So this article cites this data set. So we've got the subject, the predicate, and the object. We're actually starting to understand and build the graph or the body of work around this, this experiment or this body of work. This is cited by this data set. It's derived from. It's in an entity related to. So you really start to go beyond just saying this is my data. You start to put the complete story around your data set and make it so that it's genuinely of a high quality and reproducible. But what does this mean with version 2? That means that someone has actually already minted this, put it out into the public, and then said, actually, I want to update that. So let's have a look at what this person did beforehand. So here you can see a diff. This is version 1, and we can see that there are 2 differences between version 1 and version 2 of these DOIs, of these data sets. So this has been added, what's in green, and this has been taken away, what's in red. And a really interesting thing that we've seen as a trend is that people are coming along and looking and seeing that we now have the steps to reproduce feature, and they're saying, actually, why are we doing this? It is so that our work is reproducible, so that we know it's good science. Let me add in the steps to reproduce here and update the quality of my data. And that's when you start seeing version 2, version 3. You're really seeing people saying, hey, let's make this of a higher quality so that people are much more likely to reuse it, and then I can get better citations. That's pretty much Mendeley data as it stands today. We do release features every 2 weeks, so do come back and have a look. That's me.
Joe, thank you. I'm just going to find out if the audience has any questions. I've got one for you.
Okay.
With Mendeley data, the person that has created a profile for himself, how much data can they put on there as an individual?
Okay, so each data set, so Mendeley data is a different entity to Mendeley as it stands, and inside Mendeley data, you can upload data sets that are up to 10 gigabytes in size with unlimited file types. With unlimited files. So you could have 10,000 files, but only up to 10 gigabytes, or you could have one file that is 10 gigabytes.
Thank you.
And remember, please, that that data will then also be sent to DUNS for archiving. So it's actually going to be held in two different places, not just in AWS, which is where we store our data. We will also be sending it to DUNS, so it's there for the long term.
Okay, we've got a question. Hold on.
I would like to know whether you can export files from SPSS, FSDI. So can you export files from SPSS, FSDI? Okay, different flavors of
I couldn't hear that. Could someone act as interpreter?
Okay, go for it. Thank you. She wants to know, can you upload and export different kind of file formats?
Yes, you can upload any kind of file format that you want.
And if the data is there, can you export it again? If you feel like you need to improve on it, you want to add to it, you want to change it, can you then export it out and then put it back in again out of the system?
Yes, you can. You can, so if you make it, so there's two different things here, and actually I should have showed you a feature, apologies, but thank you for a good question. So here, you can, let's have a look at some of my existing data sets, schizophrenia risk genes. If I want to, I can, actually, let me find out. So the site's actually moved around a bit since I last had a look for this feature. But okay, here we go, share. I now have a URL. If I choose to, I can share this link privately. And I can update and collaborate in what is actually going to be uploaded to this data set. And you can edit to your heart's content without it having any impact. And you can download and upload and change whatever. It's only at the point of you minting that DOI that it becomes something for the scientific record, and we want it to be persistent. And of course, you can download and you can upload any files that you want. But if you want to make changes, this is when you see version 2 coming. And this is, I think this is important so you can see how things have updated over time and how things have evolved and improved and how thinking's gone forward. Does that answer the question?
Yes, she's happy. Thank you. We've got another question. Just hold on. Joe, we've got another question. What if you uploaded something and you realize you don't want it there anymore? Does it disappear? Does it go away? Does your eye go away? Is there a way you can completely remove it?
No. So what happens is that you would go ahead. So number one, the user cannot take down DOIs. Why is that? Because DOIs should always be resolvable. We do not delete DOIs. That's our promise to the community. But what we can do, what you can do as a user, is report. You can say like, this was a mistake, and then we have a fantastic team that sits just behind me actually that then gets this email, and then we would make it so that that DOI still resolves, but points to a flagged page that says that this was added in error, but we're still guaranteeing that that DOI resolves, so we're keeping the faith of the DOI. So you can take these things down if you choose to, but we need to say, okay, this is why. We don't want to make it so that people can just chuck DOIs away for no good reason.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? No more questions. Gentlemen and lady from Mendeley, thank you so much for taking your time out this afternoon and doing this virtual. I like the program. And for my audience, thank you very much for taking time out this afternoon to be here and attending the Mendeley and Mendeley data products. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.